Today I want to talk about religious cults. My purpose of this speech is to inform the audience on what a cult is, the difference between cults and religions, and lastly, talk about some of the most famous cults in history. Religious cults have become very popular in America over the past 50 years, and over 10 million Americans today have either been involved with a cult or are currently involved with one. Before I talk about other cults or compare them with other religions, I need to inform you on what a cult is. A cult is a social group that comes together with the same beliefs and put their devotion into a person or an object. Now that you know the definition of a cult, let's talk about the difference between cults and religions. I first want to talk about how people join a cult and how people join religions. Cults are usually joined through persuasion. They usually brainwash you into telling that this will solve your problems if you join us. Religions, on the other hand, are usually joined through family upbringing. Most of us here are Christians, and we became Christians because our families went to church and brought us to church. Now I want to talk about the actual life of someone in a cult and the life of somebody in a religion. People in cults usually live on some kind of camp or, some kind of inclusive space away from society. They give up their lives, they leave their jobs, and live here. People in religions, on the other hand, live in the regular world. They work regular jobs, and they come together for worship and community. Now, the teachings are taught very differently. Cults tell you what to believe, and if you don't believe these, you're out. Religions are kind of similar, but basically they have a set basis of beliefs, and you look for yourself, and you can kind of have some differences and talk them out with people, but the good thing is they won't kick you out. Now I want to talk about some of the most famous cults in history. The first one I want to talk about is Scientology. Scientology was founded by L. Ron Hubbard, who was a fiction sci-fi author. They believe that we are immortal aliens trapped in bodies on Earth. They also believe that we have had multiple lives here on Earth and on other planets. They believe in these classes called auditing that can free ourselves from human form and reclaim our true selves. There are about 25,000 people in this religion. They also believe that for you to get into heaven, you have to pay and pay and pay. And the more you pay, the better whatever it is you'll get in heaven. Now I want to talk about the People's Temple. The People's Temple was founded by Jim Jones in 1955. They have a lot of Christian beliefs, but they base that on communism. So they believe that if everyone is doing their best, we can achieve the kingdom of God here on earth. And later, they had some allegations that caused them to move to Jonestown, Guyana. Here, members killed Congressman Leo Ryan because he found evidence against them that could send them to prison and maybe even death. At this time, Jim ordered his followers to drink poisoned Kool-Aid, which ended up killing 918 people, including 276 children. The last cult I want to talk about is the Manson family, which was a doomsday cult founded by Charles Manson. Charles Manson believed that he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. He ordered his followers to commit mass murders. No one actually knows his motive. He was very secretive about that, but most people believe that the music industry rejected him and it caused him to go crazy, and that he just hated the world. He was then sent to death row. Even though he never actually committed murder himself, he ordered people to commit them for him. Now that I've told you about cults, I want to talk about this quote that Paul Olson said. The term cult has attracted much criticism from several sociologists of religion and religious studies scholars in recent years, and many scholars have dropped the word for a less pejorative term such as new religious movement, which is basically the same thing as a cult. So in conclusion, today I have taught you about what a cult is, the difference between cults and religions, and I have taught you about some of the most famous cults in history. And I hope that you learned a lot and you will be able to tell those differences. Thank you.